Hey, welcome to Business Intelligence. My name is Nisar. Today, as part of our journey in learning Tableau, we're going to be looking at heat maps. Let's take a look at how to build a heat map. What I like about heat maps is you can build a visual without necessarily showing any numbers and still be able to tell a story. Let's take a sneak peek again at our final dashboard and where we're at. So far, we've built our sales and profit, we have our profit by category, and we have the quantity by country. So now we're going to do our sales trend. Jumping to our dashboard, we've got our 3 tabs or 3 worksheets so far. So we're going to start off by building a new worksheet. On this heat map, we want to build columns and rows, and they're both going to have dates, but we're going to have 2 different date types. So what we want to bring in on the columns, again, they're both order dates. We want to bring in the order date to the columns, and we want to switch this to a discrete month. So still blue pill, remember, discrete, not continuous month. We're going to bring the order date in again onto the rows, but this time on the rows, we're going to make it a discrete day. Essentially, you have all the months and all the days of the month across the rows and the columns, the X and Y axis. Now, what do we want to fill this in with? We want to bring in the sales. If we bring the sales into the text, it's going to show us all our sales, but numerically. So this is very similar to what you would see in, let's say, an Excel spreadsheet. Tableau is different. We want to visualize it. So how do we want to show this? Let's change this to a square, and let's bring the sum of sales into the color. Now, what you see is the shading. The shading will dictate or show you which day of the month and which month has the most sales. Without even having to see the numbers, the shading you could hover over and still see the details. But this, I really like this because it gives you, a little bit of a different type of visual, which isn't necessarily all driven by numbers. Now, we want to format this a little bit, and so I want to change the month at the top to just the first letter of the month. We can do this by clicking on the pill and going to format. And under the format, you have different options for the date. And so we're going to select the first letter. We're also going to hide the order date heading at the top. We're going to hide this heading as well. Okay. And there's a lot of white space here following the date. So we can shift this over to the left a little bit so we have more space here. Now let's add some borders in here to get some separation. On the color, so we're going to add a white border. And you see it's a little bit easier to read. Now I'm going to change the color to be gray to kind of match the style of my dashboard. So you have to remember, always match the style. You don't want each worksheet to have its own distinct color. You want the colors to be consistent throughout the dashboard. And so I'm going to select as grayscale, light to dark grayscale. You could add steps in here if you like. I like to keep it gradient. I'll hit it OK, and we have our grayscale. Let's rename this to sales trend. And so right here is a very powerful visual. Now, when we start putting this on the dashboard, it's really where it's going to come into effect and really show its purpose. So for now, we have it on the worksheet. We know how to build it, we know how to read it, and we know how to make it. What's an alternate way to show this? If we want to show the numbers on here, we can do that as well. So we could drag the sales onto the label. And so this will show you both the numbers and the shading. Some people like this. I personally don't. I'd like to change this and keep it as is without the numbers. I think it's cleaner. Again, if you do add the sales in here, you could format this to be a currency and like so, 0 decimal places, and you'll have the currency in there. Just want to show you some options. Again, it's to your liking. I personally like to have it a little bit cleaner. We have sales being shown in other places on the dashboard as well. So that's how you build a heat map. Heat maps are very powerful, allow you to graphically show and visualize without necessarily showing data. In the next part, we're going to be looking at a start bar. So stay tuned for next part, and please like and subscribe and watch the previous videos if you missed anything.